an area of their questions about distribution. So this is something you're going to have to look at in a transparent way, answer all these questions, and that's how I'm going to approach it.
It's an export facility.
Okay, though, we're going to have to go on to 619. 619, and then if 641 could wave their arm. Okay, right here. Okay, go ahead, 619.
Thank you. Thanks for having another town hall. We really appreciate it, Senator. I'm Wes Brain. I'm with Southern Oregon Jobs with Justice. Very, very concerned about the economy. There's so many low-wage workers. The wages have been flat. There are winners in this recovery. They haven't been ordinary people. The trade agreements, going back to NAFTA, we've had winners and losers. We do export, but by gosh, you know what we export? Our jobs. These trade agreements are written for corporations, and everyone knows they shut down here and they go overseas. In fact, the trade agreements allow them to do that. It's a major problem for the economy we have right now. NAFTA was wrong, and so is the TPP. Senator, you were publicly against fast track in 2014. Orrin Hatch has a fast track bill now. Will you stand up for Oregonians? We cannot have fast track. Will you vote against it, the new bill?
I haven't changed my position at all from last year, Wes, and let me kind of walk people through where we are. How many folks came to talk today about international trade, fast track, TPP? Okay, we got lots of folks that have come to talk about it. Wes is absolutely right that we've got to be focused on wages. And I talked to the Oregon Business Summit at the beginning of last week, and I said that, to me, 2015, the single most important concern on economics for 2015 is looking at policies that raise wages for working class families. Now, the only thing I think that, respectfully, I take exception with respect to what Wes said, and that is his view with respect to exports. Because the evidence shows, folks, that 1 out of 5 jobs in Oregon depends on trade. The trade jobs often pay better than do the non-trade jobs. And let me just walk through a few of the fields where we end up being able to export stuff that is made in Oregon, and we pay people, a good wage. On the technology side, we're spending a lot of time trying to get our digital goods around the world, stuff that's made here in the state of Oregon. Agriculture, I can tell you, wine and a lot of our ag products. This is a hot Oregon brand. People all over Asia want to buy our Oregon ag products for a lot of reasons. One of them is we got this wonderful soft rain, which makes it possible for us to grow those grapes and have an attractive market. In Eastern Oregon, our wheat. Our wheat is something that people all over the world want. So the only area, respectfully, Wes, that I'd have a difference of opinion on is I think there is real money to be made, good paying jobs associated with exporting stuff from Oregon around the world. And if you wanted my economic philosophy in a sentence, what we ought to be trying to do in Oregon is to grow it here, make it here, add value to it here, and then ship it somewhere. That'd be kind of, if you're interested in my view about the economy.
Trade won't let us do that.
Let's now go to the question of where things are in the trade debate. There are two pieces to what's being talked about in D.C. One of them is the trade rules for discussing one of these agreements. So if you want to talk about Asia, that's called the Trans-Pacific Agreement. You want to talk about Europe, it's called something else. But over here are the rules for discussing it. That's called fast track. Over here are the actual agreements, the Trans-Pacific being the one that's being talked about. This is not done yet, the Trans-Pacific Agreement. And whenever people come up to me in the Dairy Queen and say, Ron, what do you think about the Trans-Pacific Partnership? I say, it reminds me of the Star Wars movie that's supposed to come out in 2015. It isn't out. I don't have it yet. So that's over here. We do not have a finished
Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, we can talk about some of the things that I hear are going to be in it, but that's over here. What's over here are the rules for having a trade debate. And the reason that I didn't sign on to the bill last year is I didn't think it did enough to enforce the trade laws on the books. I didn't think it did enough in terms of transparency. You know, I've said to some of the people involved in this, we got this wonderful new thing called the internet now. And we can put this stuff online. There's no reason why all of you and the American people ought to be in the dark about what's in these trade, agreements. So I want enforcement, I want transparency, I want more congressional oversight so that people can be accountable to the public, a strong focus on protecting labor issues, environmental kinds of issues. So Wes, what's going on now, that's what's being discussed. So we're going to have more opportunities to talk about this in the days ahead, but the agreements themselves aren't done. That's over here. What's probably going to come up in the next few months are the ground rules for discussing a trade agreement, and that's where things are now.
Will you vote against fast track in 2015 was my question.
Oh, I thought you were asking me, because what most of the trade groups say, do I continue to oppose what was done last year?
Fast track.
What I'm trying to do is get a set of rules that have changes on enforcement, changes on transparency, changes on consultation, changes on human rights. But Wes, at some point, if you want to have trade, if you want to get those extra opportunities for our technology and our ag and wine and what have you, you got to have a vote. You have to have a vote up or down. So I'm trying to figure out a way to make that in Oregon's interest. Those discussions are going on. But on the question of do you have to have a vote, yeah, the answer is yes.
Will you vote against fast track is my question, sir.
And I will tell you, I'm trying to get trade done right. And what
Will
that...
you vote against fast track, sir?
I can't give you an answer to something that doesn't exist.
Okay, let's go to 641.